5:30 on Wednesday, February 2nd. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Education. Ms. Stoikoi, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda of the February 2nd, 2022 regular Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Welcome to our top Tigers and their families and friends here to celebrate them, and to our staff star awardee, oh, you sat down again, for being here as well. We're so happy to see you here this evening. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. Informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, comments will include the name and address of the individual and be limited to 3 minutes. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen behind you, and for your convenience, hard copies of the agenda may be found on the table near the entrance next to the sign-in book. The next regularly scheduled meetings are February 16th, 2022 here at the Natatorium at 5:30 p.m. and a 6/12 construction meeting is scheduled for January 20th,
February 17th.
February 17th, 2022 in the high school library at 6 p.m. Now for our Pledge of Allegiance and positive reflections, Ms. Coco.
Please stand if you are able for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our positive reflection for this evening is from Marion Wright Edelman in honor of Black History Month. She is the founder of the Children's Defense Fund and a children's activist. Education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it.
Thank you. Now for our presentations, number 1, Staff Recognition Staff Star Award. Mrs. McClure.
Good evening, everybody. The Staff Star Award is a way that we are able to recognize our employees for all the awesome work that they do every day. And these folks are nominated by their colleagues, so they're not nominated by, necessarily bosses or students, but it's just our employees recognizing each other for their great work. So tonight we'd like to recognize Heather Austin. Heather, you want to come on up? Heather works as an attendant at Richardson Elementary School, so I'm also going to ask the principal of Richardson to come on up. Mrs. Hall, you want to come on up? Thank you. So Heather was nominated twice by 2 different people, so I have a couple different nominations to read for her. First off, Heather is a star that shines brightly, but due to her position, she is often not noticed. Heather is currently supporting a student in a 1-to-1 setting, which means that she works exclusively with one other student. Over the past several years, this student has attended multiple schools in our district and was often not successful in a general education setting, and sometimes, unfortunately, was sent home due to his behavior. Heather has a whatever-it-takes attitude that has rubbed off on this student. Her strong work ethic and dedication have made this student successful. During the first semester of this school year, the student has never been sent home. And what is even more remarkable is that the student is attending all of his classes with his peers and is making great progress academically and socially. Heather's amazing smile behind her mask and positive attitude are a tremendous asset to our Black Tiger community, and we are so lucky to have her. The second nomination comes from a staff member. It says, Heather has worked closely with me since the beginning of the school year with one student on a daily basis. This student has displayed significant concerns over the past 2 years in other buildings, and Heather has gone above and beyond to establish a rapport with this student, learn his behavior plan, and his specific behavioral interventions. And this student has shown tremendous success. I tell Heather often that she is doing her best work, and no one notices because this student is just going through his day like every other fifth grader, which that's a huge compliment. So for Heather, I have a certificate that says, Heather, this is presented to Heather for recognition of your outstanding contribution to the achievement of Cuyahoga Falls City School District students and support of the Cuyahoga Falls School District staff. I'll give you that. And a Black Tiger Pride pin for you to wear. And then we also have the Shining Star Award that you can display wherever you'd like, in your classroom or in your car or in your house. And it's, we don't want that. And it says, this is in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the achievement of Cuyahoga Falls City School District students and support of our staff members. Congratulations, Heather.
No, Heather is truly amazing, and we are blessed to have just such an outstanding support staff at Richardson Elementary School, but this lady goes above and beyond every day, and because of that, our students are succeeding, so we are very pleased, and congratulations, Heather, you deserve it.
Now, our top Tiger recognition, Mr. Shabady.
Thank you. I wanted to say something about Heather myself. I had never met her, and I went there to the building today, and I went through the side door, and I didn't have my badge, and she was like, "Sir, get back here." So thank you, Heather, thank you for looking out for the kids there, too. So thank you. All right, it's my honor to do the Top Tiger Awards. I really enjoy this because most people leave after I'm done, so I don't know. It's fun to do. It's great. The young people that are being recognized today, you should be very proud of yourselves. You think about it, of all the kids in your building, you got selected. So that means that you are really special. So I hope you appreciate this award and the teachers that nominated you to get the award. I'm going to call you up, and as Mrs. McClure would help me, she's going to pass out the bags for us. But if you'd come up here when I call your name, and we'll say a little bit about you. So let's start with McKenna Oakley. McKenna. When thinking of a Top Tiger nominee, I immediately thought of McKenna Oxley. McKenna is an extremely hard worker and is very dedicated to her schoolwork. She gives all and everything she does during the school day. McKenna takes on challenges in the classroom with such confidence and perseverance. She is a role model to other students in the classroom as she constantly displaying behavior of a black tiger. McKenna is also willing to lend a helping hand to myself or anyone in need. McKenna truly has a heart of gold. She is a wonderful friend to all students. She makes sure everyone feels welcome and included. I'm so happy to nominate McKenna Oxley as a Top Tiger. I'm so very proud of you, McKenna. And she was nominated by Miss Amanda Clegg for the month of January. She's not here this evening?
She is. She's
Oh,
over
she's up here?
here.
Okay. Congratulations, McKenna. Next, from DeWitt Elementary School is Gage Maywalls. Gage here. Gage is here. Okay. Gage was nominated by Ms. Saltzman for the month of January. Stand right here and look at it. Let me get a look at you there. Gage is overall star student. I have had the joy to have Gage for kindergarten and first grade. Gage has shown tremendous growth in these 2 years. He is always trying his hardest in the classroom and is willing to complete anything that is asked of him. Gage is constantly showing Black Tiger pride. I am so proud of his accomplishments. Way to go, Gage. Good job, buddy. Congratulations. Next, from Lincoln Elementary School, Sophia Finch. Sophia, are you here? Sophia was nominated by Mrs. Benjamin for the January Tiger Award. Sophia is a third grade student at Lincoln Elementary. She started at Lincoln at the beginning of the school year and has done such an amazing job. She is a very valuable member of our Tiger family. Sophia works so hard each day. She is always trying her best, even when things are hard. Sophia has done a great job making new friends and has overcome her fears of starting at a new school. Sophia is always trying to help her teachers and peers. She goes above and beyond to make sure everything in the classroom is running smoothly. Sophia hopes to be a gymnast one day. We are so proud of Sophia and how much she has grown and accomplished this school year. Keep up the great work, Sophia. Next, we have John Simons. John from Lincoln Elementary School. Is John here? Come on up here, John. How you doing tonight? Good? All right. John was nominated by Mrs. Bullock and Mrs. Benjamin. Johnny is a joy to have in class. He always comes to school with a smile on his face. He shares his positive attitude with his classmates daily. Johnny is a bright young man who works very hard. He has made a lot of growth this school year, and we are so proud of him. Johnny hopes to become an astronaut when he is older. He loves learning everything about space. Johnny exhibits all the qualities of a true top Tiger. Congratulations, John. Good job. Good job. Next, from Preston Elementary School, Liliana Resendez. Liliana here? Not here tonight. I'll just say a couple things. Is she here? No? I'll say a couple things about her, and we'll make sure she gets her award. Liliana has exceptional leadership qualities, and others benefit from her example. She is a conscientious worker and is a role model by being a good listener during instructional time, completing all of her work to the best of her ability, and actively participating in class discussions. Because of her kind and patient nature, she makes a great partner in center activities and peer tutoring. I can count on Liliana to bring a smile into the classroom each day and always being willing to learn. We can expect great things from Lily in the future. So she's not here tonight, but we'll make sure probably in the future she'll be here and get another award. So. Charles Ollinger. Charles here? Charles, come on up here, Charles. You know Mrs. Elijah? Okay, she nominated you. Charlie is a very hard worker who strives for excellence in every task he attempts. He listens attentively, participates appropriately, and completes every task to the best of his ability. Charlie is a responsible student who demonstrates this by maintaining his school supplies, finishing all homework assignments, and coming to class prepared each day. He is so happy at school and works well with his classmates by showing kindness every day. He is an avid reader and selects books that meet his interests from our classroom library for independent reading. Charlie is very successful academically and has a bright future as he continues his education at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. Thank you, Charles, for your kindness. Congratulations. Okay, this is a tough one for me. Liliana Vaselovich. Liliana is a stellar student. She comes in each day with a positive attitude. She is always willing to try new things. Her positive attitude is contagious, and she spreads her positivity to everyone she meets. Liliana is an avid reader. Whenever she finishes an assignment, she asks if she can read her books. She regularly asks if she can help other students in our class. She is the definition of a black tiger. She is respectful, takes responsibilities, and practices safety. We are so proud of you. Congratulations. Tristan Farah. Tristan here. You excited, Tristan? Yes. All right. Tristan was nominated by Mrs. Roseanne Kostoff-Currier, a second grader. Tristan has worked very hard this year to follow the Black Tiger Pride rules of being respectful, taking responsibility, and practicing safety. He comes to school each day with a positive attitude and willingness to give it his all. Tristan is always wanting to help his fellow classmates or teacher in any way that he can. Here is just one example of his helpfulness. One day, as I was trying to put the computer back in the computer cart to charge, he noticed I was having trouble seeing the connections from the charger cord to the computers. On his own, Tristan came back to my desk and asked if he could be in charge each day of putting the computers away so I didn't have to grab my readers to see. I can relate to that. He is a fine example of a top tiger. Are you still doing that, helping out each day? That's awesome, buddy. Good. I am honored to give Tristan the high honor of being a top tiger. Job well done, Tristan. Congratulations. Thank you. Brooklyn Preby. Brooklyn, are you here? You were nominated by a bunch of teachers, and you must be a really good one, huh? Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Pavia, Mrs. Hartzell, Mrs. Bruce all nominated you for the Student Top Tiger Award from Richardson Elementary School. Brooklyn is a student who is new to Richardson this year. She is an absolute delight to have in class. She is polite, kind, respectful, and thoughtful. She works hard every day. When she doesn't understand something, she isn't afraid to ask for help. She is always willing to help out in the classroom and is very responsible with her classroom jobs. She is a great example of Black Tiger pride. Congratulations. Good job. Caleb Wright. Caleb with us tonight? Caleb is a fourth grader at Richardson, nominated by Mrs. Hartzell, Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Bruce for the month of January. Caleb is new not only to Richardson, but new to our district and new to the state of Ohio. Wow. Where'd you come from? Kansas. Kansas? Oh. All right. Wow.
Specifically Harrington, Kansas.
Harrington, Kansas. Thank you. Therefore, he has overcome obstacles to adjust to his new surroundings. At school, he exemplifies Black Tiger pride. You like being a Black Tiger so far? Okay, good. He never complains and takes on responsibilities with ease. He is patient and takes his time with his work. In doing so, the outcome product is near perfection. He comes in each day ready and eager to learn. But what sets him apart is that he's helpful. He is helpful to his peers and has a kind heart, which makes him liked by everyone. We cannot wait to see what the future holds for Caleb. Congratulations, Caleb. Good job, buddy. Keep up your work. From Silver Lake Elementary School, nominated by Mrs. Sandy Hutchinson, Emma Lewis. Emma, you here? Come on up here, Emma. Emma has been amazing so far this year. When we first returned during these unprecedented times, Emma, like many others, was showing the struggle of a year and a half of school being abnormal. But Emma decided she was going to make this into a successful year, and that she has. When we started the year, she didn't have the confidence to read even a sentence independently. Now she is reading paragraphs not only to herself, but out loud to the class. She works as hard as any young person I have had the privilege of working with. Wow, that's pretty nice, isn't it? Good. She doesn't give up and always asks for help, but only after making a solid attempt to do it on her own. Emma has improved 5 levels in her reading already this year. That's pretty amazing. Not only has she improved so dramatically in reading, but Emma has learned to use the right tools to make herself successful in math as well. On top of all of this, she is responsible and helpful throughout the classroom without ever being asked or expecting any reward. I could not be more proud to nominate Emma Lewis as my top tiger. Congratulations, Emma. Good job. Also from Silver Lake Elementary School, nominated by Mrs. Catherine Beck. Harper Higgins. Harper? When you meet Harper, you will know why I picked her. She has a very sweet personality, and everyone falls in love with her. Harper is a very kind young lady. Boy, kind is really running through the program tonight, isn't it? When she arrives, she gets to work almost immediately on her seat work and always has everything ready for the day. Harper takes great pride and responsibility for her work. Everything is well done and very neat. She always goes the extra mile. Harper shows respect every day as well. She does what is asked of her. When Harper completes her daily work, she will sit quietly and read a book until we move on to the next assignment. She always walks in the hall quietly and keeps her hands to herself, showing how she practices safety. So as you can see, Harper is 100% black tiger, and that is why I'm so proud to call her my top tiger. Congratulations, Harper. Last, I'd like to introduce the Executive Vice President of the Alumni Association and the School Foundation Association. And the reason I want to introduce them is because they are one of the groups that helped sponsor this event. So say just a few words. Mr. Gary Medcalf is going to talk to you. He's going to tell you where to go to pick up your t-shirt. And after we're completed here, those of you that want to leave may do so. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Congratulations all the top Tigers tonight and their families. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Donato's Pizza, Dietz's Florist. You see everybody's holding their pretty carnations. Young Screen Printing. The top Tigers will receive one of these. Meet me out in the hall. Beautiful shirt. And hopefully we'll march in the Memorial Day Parade this year. You'll get more information in May. You can wear your t-shirt. The foundation has many faces. One of them, they help with the new entrance to Clifford Stadium with the bricks, the Tiger Trail. If you're still interested in purchasing a brick, see me afterwards. We help out with class reunions, all class reunions. We honor distinguished alumni every year, every May. And most of all, we award scholarships to our graduating seniors. In the past 7 years since I've been around, we've awarded over $1 million worth of scholarships to our graduating seniors. We also award grants to our staff, teachers, and other staff members. In the past 7 years, about $40,000 worth of grants. And we could not do it without the alumni and the friends of the Black Tiger family. Thank you so much. See you outside.
So top Tigers, you can make your way out and get your shirts from Mr. Medcalf and have a wonderful night and stay warm and safe tomorrow. Congratulations.
See you guys. Congrats.
See you guys. Thanks for coming.
Oh, that's cute.
I should have.
Your flamingo umbrella.
That was good. I said that was good.
Congratulations.
That's all right. I'm glad you did.
Congratulations, Heather. Well deserved.
Congrats.
No, you say, don't you want people to know about that? That's why we're here.
You know, I'm glad I got some witnesses.
Yeah, it is.
No, like all the born marketing now.
No.
Oh, so cute.
Okay, next up is presentation number 3, the impact group.
Clearly everybody's excited to see what we're
Okay.
Would you like us to wait just 1 second? Or do you
Yeah. You guys
Yeah,
want to
we
see with the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Want me to get that door?
No, I don't want to be seen.
Well, no, I
We're
mean,
shoving them.
well,
I don't
no,
wanna
I-
shove people out the door.
I'm not gonna run
either.
out there and push them out. I think Julie's did. No, but Joe is.
Well, we're definitely not as cute as the last group. We'll give it our best.
I went to a comedy club one time. Have you ever had the mistake of, we went on amateur night, and we sat so close to the comedian
Oh.
that it was amateur, that the comedian had written the jokes on his hand, and he kept forgetting the jokes, and he just wanted to die because he was just dying up on stage. So hopefully we can do better than that. What do you think?
I think that'll be okay.
Guys, thanks for having us tonight. We're the Impact Group. Gosh, we've worked with many of you guys and different things over the years here. My name is Tom Speaks. This is,
Crystal Rodriguez, Vice President of Client Services at the Impact Group.
we're just going to briefly go over, you guys have a proposal in front of you this evening. A couple things. One is a website revamp, and next is just a continuation of marketing support services. So I just wanted to go through real quickly. You all wanted to see a kind of a brief overview of the marketing services. That's what we're going to do, and then I'm going to have Krista talk about the website really quick. Make sense? Ryan, want to go ahead?
We did.
All right.
Good.
Okay, what do we do? Once again, we've worked with a lot of you before. We do creative design. We have 3 designers on staff. Anything we need. A lot of the school districts we work with say impact group it, meaning if you have something, we will make it really cool, we'll make it engaging, we'll make it understandable. One of the things we find a lot in the public school space is you have so many things to say, and sometimes if it's not said in a simple, visual, compelling format, people just don't get it. So we have creative design support to do that. Strategic services and planning. We can provide any strategic insight and planning, professional development. I think we talked a little bit about this coming up, how to create a positive culture, how to maintain a positive culture, how to help your managers manage a little bit better, management boot camp, that kind of thing. School communications, once again, in specifics, crisis communications. If you ever find yourselves in a difficult spot, we can help with that. Market outreach we do, if there's anything we need to do with surveying or to understand what your population is understanding or about, we'll take care of that. And then any kind of social media, which we're going to get into here in a moment. So next, please. Branding. The idea of the branding is, the Black Tiger, Kinder Club, whatever.
The tiny tiger.
Is that a tiny tiger?
It's a yeah, it's a tiny tiger.
Any kind of branding we need, we can help you guys do that. Social media, the idea here is we've already been creating a lot of different social media graphics. This is where your parents are right now. We want to make sure that we're engaging them in a compelling, consistent manner. We will help you do that. Next, please. Just general communications. We believe wholeheartedly that every communication is really an opportunity. You communicate in so many different ways, whether it's a classroom flyer, whether there's a spelling bee, whether there's an initiative that we need people to understand the finances of the district. We need to make sure it's on brand. We need to make sure that the message is compelling and we're getting it out there. So we'll support you in doing that. Levies, if you have any levies coming up, this is very, very critical. Only factual based. The only thing we touch is things that it's about the facts. We have a levy coming up. This is what it means. This is what it means for the community. But we want to make sure that the people in the community understand well in advance what financial challenges you're working with. Once again, crisis communications. We've dealt with, I'm afraid, about everything you can imagine 10 times. If different things should come up, we've had an awful lot of, I'm afraid, suicide situations. We've had an awful lot of just, you name it. So one of the things I think we offer, which is really of help, is when the bad things happen, and I'm afraid with this many people doing this many things at this many levels, stuff happens. It just does. And when those things happen, we are on call 24/7 to help you be prepared to deal with the media, to deal with your community, and to get your message out in a positive and productive way. And strategic campaigns. The idea here is we very much like to work with our districts. The day-to-day communications is a good thing, but we want to work with you to understand, what is important to you. Is it literacy? Is it the fact that we are doing a suicide prevention is very, very important here? Is it the fact that we have a levy coming up in 2 years, and we need to make sure the community understands the financial realities we're dealing with? We really work hard to understand what are your strategic communication needs. We help you formulate those and then communicate those over a long period of time. And there's some COVID-19. You guys heard of this? It's something. it's an evolving thing, and everybody's sick to death of it, but we need to make sure we're in front of it and people understand where we are with different pieces. It's the first time anybody ever laughed considering COVID-19. Okay, next please. And just miscellaneous. This is something we very much like. You know, we try to work with your school folks to, if you have there's a high school situation, they need a banner for something to make it really cool, we'll do that. There's posters. Elementary school, as there's a pancake breakfast coming up to support whatever, we'll help them do that. So we really try to be in front of such things. And then really, so what we've been doing these past 6 months, external and internal communication strategy, helping you all get your message. Monthly social media content, really been giving you a lot to get out social media. Digital newsletter development, quarterly content development, and the design of your ROAR. Crisis communication support, you guys have had some things we've been able to help with. This district messaging and the strategic campaigns, including attendance, enrollment, kindergarten. At the end of the day, a district really has to decide how it wants to communicate. You can bring on folks like us, which we would argue you have a lot of firepower for a very small amount of cost of other folks. So we can offer all these different services. I'm just one of the whole team, but we hope we have an opportunity to work with you guys moving forward. Chris, would you like to speak about the next piece, the website?
Yeah, so another reason that we are here is we've been in some discussions with Ryan and team and understand that the district website is in need of a new website, which that happens to a lot of different districts, and that's not an easy task to take on. It is a monster. And so we have put together a proposal to work together with you guys, with your chosen web design and development firm. So what that means is they'll build it. We're gonna be the liaison and the consultant, if approved, to work on your behalf or with whoever wants to be a part of this team. So we have done this with many other groups. We'll be involved in, actually, I think, Ryan, if you don't mind going on, we'll just go on to the phases. So this is the most important thing right now, and this is the heaviest part of this whole proposal, is to conduct a thorough audit of the current website. Before you get started on something new, which is exciting, very exciting, it's gonna have a great creative look, we have to fix things on the front end before we transfer them over to the next site. So you all know websites, or your parents are all over websites. If they can't find something, our rule is in 2 clicks, they're gonna be gone, or they're gonna be frustrated and they're not gonna go back. So not only do we want to assist in making the website look amazing, but we need functionality. That is the top level of this proposal. Going through, looking at a current audit of the current site, there are links that don't go anywhere. There is outdated information. I mean, it's a big task. That's probably the biggest part of this whole proposal. And then we will come back and give recommendations as to what needs updated, what needs rewritten. We have writers on staff, and we will also work with the new company to design the look and feel, layout, and functionality of the next phase of your website.
I think one of the current, where your website is right now, a lot of districts have the same situation. These websites, they just evolve and they build, and it just becomes a monster in itself. So what you're facing is similar to a lot of other districts.
Very much so. Thanks, Ryan. So again, we will work with the design development firm. We'll work with them to make sure that everything is very templated. So the people that do have the back end access, which if it's principals, if it's whoever that access is granted to, there's only a few different colors, fonts, typography, things that they can choose, so that we're keeping a consistent, nice branded look throughout the site as people are adding stuff to the back end. And also, I think I mentioned before, we have writers on staff. We can assist in writing and content revisions as needed. And that's all in that proposal that I know is you guys are going to talk about a little bit tonight. I wanted to give you some examples. No, these are not schools, but these are cities that not that long ago I was the liaison between it's the same type of deal. There's a back end group. It's called Civic Plus School Forms, is for the school side of things, or they're changing their name. These are 2 websites that if you want to go and look at thoroughly, we were the liaison between the actual Civic Plus company and on behalf of the city, and made sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. If you wanna go ahead again. These are two sites that we built from scratch. So we do build websites from the ground up, but there are organizations that have really perfected and are very templated that are a good idea to go with. And Ryan, I know you've done your due diligence and researching them, but I just wanted to show you the cleanness, the main navigation across the top is so important. Again, 2-click rule. If I can't get where I need to be in 2 clicks, I'm out. And then I think there's just one more example. Yeah, so we did this from scratch, but again, another website that is now school related. We have to think of these things from the top down when we're putting these together. And I mostly wanted to show you the navigation on those.
Anybody have any questions regarding the communication services themselves we're thinking about, the scope of that, or the website proposal we're putting before you?
So I just want to clarify for the Board of Education members, what's on the agenda to get voted on tonight is the website piece.
Right.
And then at our next meeting, it'll be on the agenda for the continuation of the communication services piece. So prior board, we entered into an arrangement with them for communication services, and it ends in February. But the reality of the situation is we're not in a position to have had a conversation about what we want to do next. So keeping impact group for right now seems like the best bet going forward. And then if we want to have conversations about other things down the road, we certainly can. But this keeps us communicating with our community in the meantime.
Great.
Any questions, any clarification needed?
I'd like to know if I can get a T-shirt on the way out.
It's still here, maybe.
Probably too small.
Coco?
Yeah, for the web development, the audit that you would do, is there a timeline that you would project on how long that would take?
Great question. Yeah, that would probably take about 3 months. We would have multiple people working on it internally, and what we do is we'll start at the district, we'll move on to the high schools, we'll move on to the middle schools. We take chunks, and we don't throw it all at you at once. We're gonna take different pieces, give our recommendations, and then work with, if we go on the back end and fix it, or if you guys do, we'll figure that out. That's a good question.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. One is, if we supplied you with like images of like what's happening in our classrooms, can we get those put out? I know that a lot of other districts do that, so is that something we could do as well? We could work through our principals and, because I think our community doesn't always understand what education looks like, and I think it'd be really helpful if we could show that to them.
Yeah, would you mean providing it to us like on a monthly basis, or
Yeah,
or
and
do
then
we
you can-
train somebody to do that? I guess
Either or, what works in other districts. I know, for example, I know Stowe does that a lot, and you guys communicate for Stowe, and like they'll put up images. So what's the best way to make that happen if that's something we want to explore?
Actually, that's a really good question too. It depends on the district. We've done it both ways, where we hand it off, we train, or they train, the company will train and say, this is what you need. You need this size image, it needs to be landscape, it needs to be this, that. Or I think I did put in the proposal for a monthly contract to assist with things like that. So it's really up to whatever suits your needs the best.
A lot of districts do the communications different ways. There are districts, as you're exploring different, some districts have a full-time communications person that they have on staff that we then support in a lot of different ways. Like that one communication person still, they need graphic support, they need all those other things to do. Some districts, you have a part-time person, which we found to be very successful. That part-time person then is really, they're the ones in the schools, taking the shots, getting all the day-to-day. They can gather all that information, then they give it to us, and then we then can distribute it. Or another model is we do that. Honestly, the most optimal model is that we have a relationship with your folks here on the ground, because we aren't going to be here to see the 7th grade robotics program. I mean, we need somebody that sees it, recognizes it's cool, they capture it, and then they get it to us for distribution.
And also make sure that photo releases are up to date and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, how can we better connect people to the communications we have? Because like that monthly newsletter that we put out, it's great. Like even as a board member, like seeing the pictures of the abatement at Newbury, that's exciting. But how do we let people know that that's a thing that we do here's how you can get on it. You know, we have really good communications coming from you, but I think we've got to work on our end to connect people to that. How can we make that piece happen?
Yeah, either way. My recommendation, and Tom, I'm sure will add to this, is to get everything out, every medium that you have, because first of all mediums are still alive. If anybody ever tells you the newspaper's dead, print is dead, that's not true. Newspapers are if you can get messages out, and main messages, it doesn't have to be every pancake breakfast, but the big campaigns that we're working on, if we can get them out through email, social media, in the district newsletters, it's, if it warrants, in the newspaper, it's everywhere. People need to see things 11 to 15 times in order to absorb it, and that's scary. I mean, it's just kind of scary. So the more we can get the same message out, repetitive, we might take that message and we might just change the look of it, but it's the same message that's gone out, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's what's happening in the district. I had no idea, but I've seen it 12 times.
We need to continue to work with your crew to expand what we're doing. To communication, it takes a little bit of time to grow, so we need the time to make that happen.
Does anyone have anything further for Impact Group? I know that Mr. Hutch is going to provide some information here about the website piece and how we got to this point so that we can have a better understanding of that, so I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, so we started with clear identification of the problem, which is that our website is simply superficially not usable. So how we got there is not really worth discussing, it's what we're going to do about it. So we started last year bringing some community members together, a committee to dissect what we like and don't like, to gather a pretty good list of data now. And there were some great people on there. I want to mention a few names, I'm going to forget some. Ben Hoffman from WIP has been a great resource in that. And a handful, quite a few, and a wide variety of two of our board members were there with us. And we gathered that data, we looked at other websites, other hosting providers, and quantified what we liked and didn't like. And we did some data analysis on our current website and realized an area we're missing. Our website is primarily consumed on a mobile device, but we primarily designed for a desktop. So that's a really big gap in the way we approach how we design the website. So as we're looking forward, we're looking for mobile responsiveness as well as ease of use. So we got that data, we collected it, we're sharing that data with the Impact Group, so that committee feels like a committee fizzled because the pandemic kind of kept things churning, but we haven't forgotten that time was not wasted as we go forward.
Mr. Hutch, I'm just curious, do you have like numbers on how many hits we get on the website? Like what's our traffic?
I didn't grab that for this meeting.
Okay.
It's significant.
Okay, is it? Okay.
That's one of the things we talked about in the committees, because we were all surprised by what were the things people were clicking on the most,
Right.
and I'm sure he could send that out.
Okay.
Right.
And I'd be happy if we wanted to sit, we still have analytics running, and it will show us which areas are most visited, how people arrive at our traffic, whether it's a direct click or through a referral. And our goal is to drive people to the website as the place.
Right.
We call it an idea source of truth. Like that is the place you go, that is the final place for information. That information has to be easily accessible,
Right.
visually appealing, and accurate.
Nancy, you suggest, how does information get out there? I mean, honestly, think of like a bicycle wheel. As is being suggested, your website is the center of that wheel. Then you've got your social media and your speeches and your newspaper and all the different stuff you have going on, but it all has to drive back to that central piece, which is so that this is going to be an important part of the
And
program.
I'm talking with hosting providers, one of the things that just drives me crazy is if you want to know what the supply list is, and you search supply list on the website, you'll find the supply list from 2020,
Yes.
but also 2017. These things don't die. And we need to make sure the data,
Right.
the data dies when it's appropriate for that data to die, and it's current, most importantly current. So when I talk to content providers, we have that conversation, what does that workflow look like? Make sure that when we pull a news article offline, it doesn't still keep showing up. Or that flyer from the Halloween dance from 2018 doesn't come up every time you Google Halloween units.
Mr. Hutch, when do you think we'll know more about like hosting providers, and then I know you're talking about like who would manage a website, who's going to manage on our end the social media, like a time frame for when you think we could have
So-
that piece?
given this approval, we're gonna go into concurrent development pretty quickly. I haven't selected, I have a preferred content provider, we'll then come back with a contract for that. It's, the one I found that I like is actually less expensive than the one we're using now, so that's a win. What we'll need to do is concurrently have those platforms. So we'll need to enter into a new agreement, develop on the new platform, and my goal is to be hitting, our current contract expires in June, I will then not renew that contract with our provider, so we can transition by June.
If I can also add to that, if this contract does go through, we would begin the audit. We wouldn't have to wait. That's
Sure.
a proactive piece when you get the new contract.
So when we're looking at revamping or improving our website, are we talking about little by little after the audit is done, or is that kind of having this whole brand new website that gets launched in place of the old?
So we'll be concurrently developing a new website. We will then, I imagine focus grouping is a part of that. We'll bring in some parents. Here's what we've got here. It'll have an address you can go to. It won't be cpulse.org. It'll be some test site.
Right.
We'll evaluate it. We'll get people's eyes on it, and then we will one day just flip the switch.
Okay,
And overnight, you'll wake up to the new website.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's important, like, here it is, guys, come check this out.
And we'd want to have a big communication campaign around that, saying, here it is, and this is what's happened, and, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Just two more things for you from me, Mr. Hutch. One, I think it would be great if you followed up with the people that were on that website committee to let them know something's happening, because I think it's always valuable for people to know that their work meant something to us. And number two, in terms of like personnel, like being responsible for this, is that something that will come down the road, or?
No, that's something
or-
we're talking about now, and we think we've identified the key person to be in charge of that day-to-day maintenance and pruning, and it's Sandy Herb. And the reason for that is a couple. One is she's at the tip of the spear, so to speak, of our district. Sits at the superintendent's office and is kind of over the, can see all the landscape. Two is she has a degree in communications, and that's something she's good at. So we've got a person in a good situation and with a skill set that we can use. So we want to leverage that strength of theirs.
Anything else?
No, my questions were answered.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Thanks for having
conversation.
us.
It's been an honor working with you guys. We very much appreciate that. Thank you.
And being able to see all the recognition of the kids. You picked a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
On to item E, Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda, Ms. Stoicoy.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a lot of minutes and some donations, actually quite a few different donations there that you can see. I won't read them all, but we had quite a few for this meeting. So always thankful for those.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Item F, Treasurer CFO's Business. Any comments, Ms. Stoicoy?
I do not really, other than at the end of last week, we submitted all of our excess cost applications. For those of you that aren't familiar, students who are not residents of Cuyahoga Falls but may be here either open enrolled or court placed, and our special education students, technically the way the state of Ohio worked last year with the funding was that we got the funding for a regular education student. So we get some weighted funding for our special ed kids. So this program is a mechanism for us to kind of recoup some of those funds from the districts that are responsible financially for those students. So those districts that they are residents of, are responsible financially for anything over and above that amount. And this is the way we do it. So there's one per student, and you kind of go in and break down exactly what it costs to educate that student. How many his or her teacher, how many students that teacher has, and that. And so those are done in January and due at the end. I think we had a total of around 85 kids which is a little less, but some of that has to do with COVID and not being able to accept some open enrolled kids that we maybe had in the past. And so the total was right around $900,000 that is due to us. Now, we will also, on the flip side, have some that we are due out of residents of ours that perhaps open enrolled elsewhere or were court placed elsewhere and educated by another district. But that's usually about a third of the cost of what we receive. So that's pretty similar to where we were last year. So not really a large increase or decrease as far as dollars go. So that's good. We're waiting to hear kind of how that system may change. We don't believe there will be because we may just not get as much excess funding because we are going to be funded for those kids whether they're our residents or not directly, and we will get the weighted funding for them. But that financial responsibility still will lie with their resident district for anything that we may have to do over and above that funding that we would receive from the state. For instance, some of our kids maybe that are placed outside of the district at a like a LEAP, the harbor education, things like that, can be costly. Obviously, we're not totally funded for all of that, and so those will still fall on the resident districts to pay for those students. So we will see how that goes in next year. They're a year behind, so these are last year's school year students, and then this year's we will do next January.
Thank you. Item G, Superintendent CEO's business consent agenda, Mr. Shabady.
Thank you very much. It is recommended the Board of Education approve all items listed in the superintendent's business consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? I just want to mention something that Mr. Hutch is doing in the technology department with having a lead underneath him in that department, similar to what Mr. Brigatti has with Mr. Woodard, and I think we all know how well run that department is, so I think this will be a boon for our technology department, and I'm excited to see that happen. Anything else? Please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Item H, Superintendent CEO's business. Any comments, Mr. Shabady?
Just a couple. As we enter February, we know there's a lot going on, specifically Black History Month. And we hope that not only our students, but our staff, our board, our community all takes time out to think about the wonderful contributions that Black Americans have made in our history. Secondly, how appropriate that it is the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Tiger. So hopefully our levee will pass and we'll start shoveling some dirt and some other good things happening there. And the third thing I want to mention was, since I've been here, started January, I keep hearing the term culture of caring. And I think when you see those young people tonight, and they're kind, they're caring, all those things, I think we're making progress in that aspect. But culture means everyone. So it's the teachers, it's the principals, it's the Board of Education, it's the community. And I know that over the last month with the weather we've had, the excessive snow that we had, the issues we've had in our school parking lots, that sometimes our parents aren't exhibiting that culture of caring that we need them to be role models and step up to see. So on one hand, we're teaching this to our kids. On the other hand, they're seeing some of these other actions, and that doesn't create the culture of caring that I think this Board of Education had in mind when they came up with that term. So I just say, everybody, the weather's terrible. We're going to get 10 more inches of snow tomorrow. Where are we going to put that? Who knows? We lose even more parking spots. So as we move through this winter and the COVID and all those things that are happening, that people take a step back and work on the kindness and caring that we want to show our kids. Spring will be here. It will come. And so just need everybody to step up and help with that, create that culture that you guys have envisioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabady. I agree, spring will come. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, but Buckeye Chuck did not. So 6 more weeks of winter for Pennsylvania, but spring's coming in all.
6 weeks.
Item I, Board Business Number 1, 2022-2023 School Calendar. This is a discussion, and I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. McClure to walk through some of the key changes that you see on that calendar.
So this was a group effort. When the board, it all started when the board approved the addition of the Juneteenth holiday for our year-round employees, that we had the opportunity to take another look at our calendar. So we pulled it off. It had already been previously approved. We pulled it off. And since it had been approved, we had the addition of Dr. Cruz in our curriculum department. So she and I kind of put our heads together. We met with our principals and got their input on how they'd like to see. The biggest change would be the removal of the early release Fridays, previously early release Wednesdays. So it was a great idea, and it was much needed when it started, but I feel like, and I think our principals and our teachers would agree, it's kind of run its time. We're just not getting as much bang for our buck. Just having an hour, especially as we're working to combine staffs to go to a 6-12 environment, and you've got, teachers in 3 different places. If you want them to meet together, it's a half hour just to get everybody together. So that's the biggest addition. So what we proposed on the new calendar was, rather than an early release day each week of an hour, we are asking for 1 2.5-hour early release day per month. It gives us more time to do the work that we need to do with our staff. It'll still have the same purpose. It's just a better use of that time. It's just reorganized a little bit better. So if you look at the calendar, those would be the green 5-sided shape, whatever those are called, pentagons, right? So those would be those days. And for our community, we kept them on Fridays. We had heard from the community when we surveyed earlier that they liked the Fridays having the early release. And where we could, we paired them with a long weekend, so that it would be a half day off for the kids on Friday afternoons, paired with maybe a Monday off for a holiday, a naturally falling holiday. That's really the biggest change. It's very colorful. This was the input from the principals, who then took it back to their buildings. We did have a hearing last month to present to the public. We've not gotten a lot of input from the public. We've heard from a couple of teachers in support of it. Nobody who was not supportive of it. We involved our union representatives. So the plan is then for this to be on the agenda for the next board meeting to vote, and then it'll be official. It's rather late, which makes me a little uncomfortable, that I know families are trying to make summer plans and when is school going to start. Those dates did not change from when the original calendar was approved. The skeleton of the calendar did not change. The starting and ending dates, the breaks, spring break and the holiday break, those things did not change. We just kind of fine-tuned some of the details. Can I answer some questions?
I have a comment, not necessarily a question. I do like that the extra early release, the kids are still gonna be able to come in, they're gonna get breakfast, they're still gonna get lunch, so they're still getting that
That was
portion of their
important
day.
to us.
I think
That was
it's a great
very
idea.
important to us, that the
Yeah.
kids get both of the meals. We tossed around a little bit about coming in later, and really the biggest hindrance, the downside to that was we wouldn't be able to give our kids breakfast, and we know that so many of our families count on those 2 meals for their families.
I had a question. So in October and March, it's not a pentagon, it's a triangle because it's all for school. Is that because that's the end of a 9
That's
weeks
the
and
end
we're
of, that's the end
combining
of
the
yeah,
two?
that is the end of the quarter, yes.
So it's whatever part of that day is teacher time for grading.
Yes.
As we normally have. And then
Correct.
the other part would be that
Correct.
early release.
Right, we had some conversation about, we wanted to have some professional development time, but we still needed to honor the teacher's contract that has the 2 hours. We didn't really want it to be 2 separate days, so we are combining that in, and with the blessing of the union, we were able to do that.
I know I shared the 2 comments I got from community members with you and Dr. Cruz already, and you had some good feedback on that. So the one was, families concerned about aftercare. And I know we can't commit to the YMCA doing that because they haven't committed to doing that, but we are in conversations with them
That's correct.
about trying to make sure that they can provide aftercare earlier on those days that families would get out early, because I know that's a concern for our families. The other one was about routine, and you had some good thoughts on that. Would you share what you shared with me about how the routine is now and how Fridays might be more disruptive?
Right, Fridays right now are, I'm gonna go back to when it was early release Wednesday, okay, when I was a building principal. And every day was, they called it Wacky Wednesday because it was a different day than the rest of the week, and things kind of were rushed, and and I think now that is still happening on Fridays, every week. So it's kind of like people just kind of check out. So now we're giving them the opportunity to have a consistent 5-day, 8 to 3 or 8:30 to 3:20 day, 5 days a week. So we're hoping that by making those changes, we are making things a little more consistent for the kids.
And, one of the things Dr. Cruz shared is that even if you look at absence data, they were seeing absences would spike on Fridays because that was seen as, like, I hate to say, but like a wasted day because
Right.
it's so weird and you
Right.
feel so rushed. So I think we can provide more routine, maybe have some exciting things those mornings for our students, but we'll let our
Yeah.
principals make those determinations.
Yes.
But I also think, the reality was teachers weren't getting even an hour on
Right,
Fridays as it
exactly.
was because they're out there and then all of a sudden a parent's got a question for
Right.
them. So of course they're gonna talk to that parent
Sure.
as they're helping kids get into cars, and then, the time just wasn't happening. So I appreciate all that went into this. I think it's a
And
thoughtful.
we're excited, we're very excited for it.
Yeah, and I'd like to piggyback on that. I think it's great because they will have 2.5 hours altogether. So I think they'll be more productive too,
I agree.
that time.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this?
Thank you.
Item 2, future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items? I'll just point out, at our next meeting, Ms. Stoiko is gonna give a presentation on ESSER 3, and then it's really just gonna be a finance fund meeting, because she's gonna go into some of the financial reports in a little more detail, so we can all have some sort of baseline understanding together as a board of some of those things, and then, if all goes well, Mr. Bugatti might have something exciting to present as well, but I don't wanna spoil his fun and make sure that everything goes well with that. But then also, I know that at our work session last week, we had a desire to hear from Mrs. McClure about the hiring process and onboarding. So maybe sometime in April, we could schedule that, see which one it works at. She could talk us through that and help us understand that process. And then I think it would be helpful if we took a look at our strategic plan and our goals for the year and did a check-in on where we're at, maybe sometime in April as we're getting towards the end of the year, and so that we can start planning for the new year as well. Okay. Item 3, committee reports. 612 Construction Core Team, Ms. White.
Well, we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but we'll meet next Thursday instead because our building's closed. So, next Thursday.
We have it's Zoom, but I didn't get the email
Oh.
either, so you weren't the only one left out.
Well, I'll try, I'll zoom in then.
Yeah, they
So,
have,
that's
so
great.
I didn't
Zoom.
get the
Alrighty,
email,
I
so
didn't
don't
know.
know
I
what was on it.
Scott
That's fine.
Allman sent an email with the Zoom link
Okay,
yesterday.
I didn't check, I checked earlier, but I didn't check this afternoon, my email, so it might be there.
And TDA put out a nice update for the
Okay.
community about our
That's great.
community presentation as well. If you could just ask them tomorrow the status of getting those Q&As up, because we're about at that 2 to 3 weeks, they said. So if you could nudge them towards that, I'd appreciate it. Alliance for School and Community Growth, Ms. Coco.
We will be having our first official meeting next week, 8 a.m., February 8th. Mr. Shavity and myself were able to have a meeting and catch up with Kathy Muffett. last week, so that we were up to speed on everything that had been happening. So we're excited about that.
Athletics and Activity Council, Mrs. Schaefer.
We will be meeting in February.
Okay. Board Policy Committee, Ms. White and myself,
We meet Monday,
meet Monday.
11:30.
Yeah, and I will send an email to Dr. Cruz to get us a copy of the homework policy
Okay, thank
in
you.
advance. Business Advisory Council, Mr. Harris and Ms. Coco.
I'll take it because Mr. Harris will be on a vacation, but Aruba, if anybody needs to know. But that'll be February 22nd, will be our Business Advisory Council meeting, 8 a.m.
Financial Advisory Committee, Mrs. Schaefer.
We meet on the 17th.
Foundation Alumni Association, that's me. We will be meeting this coming Tuesday, but we have these wonderful brochures that we made. If you're interested in joining, you're all getting them, don't worry. But if anyone else is interested in joining or just seeing what they're about, I have extras of these. They're really beautiful. We're very proud of
I
the
joined
work
and got one, I
that
think.
we're doing as a foundation. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Harris.
Yeah, there are a few updates. Columbus is still a mess, if you were wondering. They are still going through the redistricting process down there. I think, I've been hearing several things, so I'm not even gonna weigh in on, what might happen. Just a couple updates on some, legislation here. The House passed House Bill 428, which would establish the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study Commission. That commission would address, the effects of ACEs and aiding children across the entire state. The House did not place House Bill 126 on the calendar for a vote. That bill would prohibit school districts from filing initial complaints challenging a property's assessed value, among other changes. The next meeting of the full House is on February 9th. The Senate passed House Bill 51, which would revise the process for adjusting property values due to instances that result in injury or destruction of property. That is now heading to the House for concurrent vote. Senate Bill 112 was amended and passed in committee, and if passed by the Senate, would require, I apologize, my ink, would require abandoned land to be forfeited to the state instead of a school district as under current law if unsold after the first foreclosure sale, and would eliminate the requirement to notify a school district upon receiving certification of that property. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Student Achievement Liaison, Ms. White.
We meet next Monday at 3:45.
And Student Wellness and Success Liaison, that is me. I was at the high school GSA Thursday morning. We had a great conversation with the students about how we're supporting them and what we can do better for them. I passed out some rainbow masks, so they were very happy about that. And then I'm going to touch base with Dr. Cruz so that we can establish a baseline of what is a successful and what is a well student in our district. So as we work towards creating that, we know what we're working towards. Comments, Mr. Harris.
Yes, I have brief comments here. I just want to again congratulate our top Tigers and our Staff Star Award winner this evening. I want to give a shout out to all the students involved in last week's One Act Festival. My wife and I were able to attend on Friday, and we're just blown away by the talent both on and off the stage. So wonderful job by all. I also want to give a shout out to our Fresh Farm students on their partnership with the city of Cuyahoga Falls and local businesses. I made a post on Facebook about this. I'll just reiterate what I said. It's these type of relationships and partnerships that really create a sense of community we're hoping for between the district and our neighbors. So wonderful job to the students and staff of Fresh Farm. Lastly, we have a doozy of a winter storm approaching, if you have not heard. I want to remind folks to be safe if you do have to go out, and make sure you do your best to keep your walkways and your sidewalks clear of snow. We do not have school tomorrow, but we don't know about Friday. I was driving around after the last winter storm and noticed students walking in the street. So for those of you listening at home, please do everything you can to keep your pathways clear so we don't have students walking out in the street. Good.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer.
I also was able to attend the One Act plays, super entertaining. One of the plays had an Order 66 with a which I thought was hilarious because Order 66 is from Star Wars. So they threw that in there for us old people. It was really nice. And I'm looking forward to touring some of the buildings in the next couple weeks and meeting with some people to better learn what we are doing in the district.
Thank you. Ms. White?
Yes, I'd like to thank Dr. Cruz and Tina Lindy for their work on the book walk through the city. Hopefully in the spring we do have an art walk, which is wonderful and exciting. And we talked about this a little bit, I forget, last year, I think. And I'm glad to see it being taken up in our district too. I think it'll be really wonderful and fun and really support reading. So I'm really happy about that. I do have an article, but I'll keep it because we want to get home and away from this weather that's coming. But
I got a whole book.
well, I do. I'm sorry. And I do want to talk about that. And the reason why I brought this was because I think a little bit ago we met and we were talking about educating children and how that is so important. But again, the wellness and success is extremely important too. And for those of you that don't know me, I was an educator for a long time in this district, and I always believed in education. Education will make everything better. It will make us strong, it will make us healthy, it'll make us think and be fair and kind and caring, until I read this. And if you don't know who Leo Biscaglia, maybe some of the older folks do, he wrote this wonderful book called Living, Loving, and Learning. He was kind of called the love doctor or the hug doctor, because everywhere he went, he just hugged. He was so happy. And I read this, and I don't know. I am a survivor of a concentration camp. My eyes saw what no person should witness. Gas chambers built by learned engineers. Children poisoned by educated physicians. Infants killed by trained nurses. Women and babies shot and killed by high school and college graduates. So I'm suspicious of education. My request is, help your students to be human. Your efforts must never produce learned monsters, skilled psychopaths, or educated Eichmanns. Reading and writing and spelling and history are arithmetic, are only important if they serve to make students human. And that never left me after that, because to me, the caring, the kindness, the culture, that has to be there. It has to go hand in hand with the academics. There is no room for violence. I don't care. It's not right. It never is. It's wrong. There is no other side. It's just plain out wrong, and so is hatred. And I'm so glad that we are a culture of caring here, and that we do have this student, the district success and wellness program. So, very happy about that.
Thank you, Ms. White. Ms. Coco?
I'm a little choked up after listening to that. Thank you, Ms. White.
Sorry.
No, thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to say, as a board, we've been here, the five of us together, for a month now, and thank you to all of you for making this transition as a new board member. I wouldn't say it's been easy. There's been a lot that has happened in the past month, but it has all been things that have been necessary, and we have worked extremely well together, and that is because the five of us together have the priority of culture of caring and knowing that it starts with us. So I want to say thank you, and I want to say thank you to the cabinet and to Mr. Shabady. I don't have anything to gauge previously, but I appreciate your constant communication and your leadership that you've had the past month. Ms. Stokoy, not all heroes wear capes. Some make graphs on a regular basis. And so thank you. You're always there to explain things on a level for those of us who don't wear that cape. Mr. Bagatti, you've had an amazing job and a hard job this past month, and it's coming around again, so thank you. And Mr. Hutch, I don't even know everything you do because you do it.
No one does.
We don't need to know, we just know you do it well. And Ms. McClure, thank you for keeping everything running with Human Resources. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. And our PTOs, PTAs, and our parent-teacher organizations, there are quite a few great events coming up in the next month. So check those out. I know we've got bingo going on at Lincoln. We've got a dance going on at Silver Lake. And I know there's something going on at DeWitt as well. Is that a dance as well? I think that's it. What? Glow dance. How could I forget Glow dance? Yes. And I'm sure there are other ones that I might be missing, but those are the three that I personally received invitations to. So please check those out, and thank you to all our parent-teacher organizations.
Thank you. And I'm up for comments. I too had an opportunity to go see the One Acts. And once again, the work that Mrs. Mihailov does in that theater program is truly amazing. And we have such a strong theater program because we have such a strong theater teacher in Mrs. Mihailov. So that is shown through so many students in our district that have benefited from that program thanks to her work. I want to give a thank you to Mr. Shabady. He is so responsive to parents, and it really makes a difference in the perception of our district. I had a parent call and leave me a voicemail, and my phone transcribes them, so I was able to send him that transcription. And then I called the parent just to let him know that he was going to be contacted, and he had already been followed up by several people, and his concerns had been assuaged. And that makes such a big difference. We can't always fix the problems that people have, but knowing that we care and that we get back to them, it really makes such a difference in the perception of our district to our families. So thank you for that. I had an opportunity to attend a meeting on public art in the city hosted by Nicole Mollett, who is overseeing the public art program for the city of Cuyahoga Falls, and Jen Schulman and Amelia Golick, who are art educators in our district, were there as well. And they gave us a little teaser about the art walk, and the public artists who are nationally known that the city is bringing in as part of the river and the city through the National Endowment of the Arts grant they got will both be part of the art walk as well. So they're integrating that in with the art walk, and they were very excited to hear that 1/3 of the 365,000 square feet will be dedicated to the fine arts in our building. So we're becoming known for our arts across the county. I think that's great because those are such wonderful programs. And then I want to and Mr. Harris's comments about sidewalks, particularly on our busy streets, particularly around Bullock, especially some of these businesses. They have not shoveled their sidewalks since our first snowstorm. And if they don't shovel their sidewalks, I'm going to start knocking on doors and calling them out because it's shameful. They know they're across the street from a school, and they know that kids walk to school. And they have a legal obligation under ordinances in the city, and they have a moral obligation to shovel their dang sidewalks so kids can safely walk to school and not in the street. And I'm very upset about that. So they will be hearing from me. And with that, it's time for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye. All right. Well, Stacy.